Hi, you graduated high school in 1942. Talk to me about the environment during that time.
Well, everything was rosy up until Pearl Harbor Day, and then the world just started turning upside down. This country came together, just boom, boom, boom. Everybody was cooperating, and the even the little kids were taking their wagons and bringing papers and scrap iron and metal in, and then we had the blackouts, at different times, and we had the what they call them, the wardens, the civil service warden, whatever they call them. Anyhow, you can get rid of that. Anyhow, uh, I was 18 years old at the time, and I couldn't get a job anywhere because they knew I was going to be gone before long. I was that age, and so I delivered telegrams for quite a while, Western Union, and
Well, your number was coming up, but
it
you
was coming
decided
up, and I decided to enlist in the United States Coast Guard, and
why the
uh,
Coast Guard?
well, an old fellow down at Western Union where I worked, he was almost 60 years old, and he said that's what he'd do. So that's what I did. I just took a tip. It was a good choice too, because I went to boot camp. I was sent to train war dogs, and they held me back from. We were getting 4 weeks training, and then most of them were going to sea or schools of different kinds, and they pulled me back with a bunch of other guys, and they sent us to train war dogs at Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, and then I was sent to different naval installations as security and sentries with the dogs, and
Where did you start out in training? Because it's my understanding that you moved around quite frequently. You started out where?
well, I first enlisted in January 31st of 42 or 43. I was called to active duty, and I went from here to Omaha, and that was quite a trip. We were on an old gas lighted, straw covered, seated train car that had been retired long ago, but at the time they needed everything that they had because we weren't ready for war. And from there I went to Omaha, and we met another train there that took us to Brooklyn, New York, for a training station. And at that time, Brooklyn was a joke. I didn't even know it was a city. I mean, people were making jokes about something about Brooklyn, and it was funny, really. So anyhow, we got to Manhattan Beach, Brooklyn, New York, and our training started just almost immediately. We had a fire drill the first night I was there, and those bunks up there are 5 high, and we were all just kids of 18 years old, roughly, and they had a fire drill in the middle of the night, and we were told to fall in and follow the instructions of the officer of the day, and so we did that, but it was quite comical to see these guys coming down off the top bunks in a hurry. It was a mess. But anyhow, we got over that. Then they took us right on to the next day. We went to the training station, which was this first one was the reception center, I guess you'd call it, and then we went to the training station. And it was an old resort there at Manhattan Beach that had been Coast Guard had taken it over for training. The cabins there were cabins for people to rent when they went to the beach. But they took all the partitions out and put in 25 double bunks so 50 men could live in them.
So not a resort after that.
No, it wasn't a resort. And,
you guys didn't have any hot water, did you?
There wasn't any hot water, and we had to be shaved when we fell in the morning, and it was fun. I mean, when you look back on it.
What were some of your duties at that time?
In the boot camp?
Yeah.
Just marching mostly. I wore a pair of shoes in 2 weeks. And we learned how to, all the rules of the road as far as the Navy part of it. And I happened to be a Sea Scout when I went in, so I had learned quite a little bit about the rules of the road and one thing and another that really helped me in my training. And we had Jack Dempsey was our training man up there. He taught us how to use a nightstick and for defense, and also a rifle. But our rifles were 2x4s, shaped like a rifle, because this country didn't have anything at the time. We started from scratch, and
just not prepared.
they come together like they'll never see it again, and it was nice.
How fast do you, from your perspective, do you think that they went from not being prepared to being prepared? You said things moved quickly.
Yeah, you can almost say overnight. I mean, that'll give you a good idea, because the automobile manufacturers switched over to Army vehicles and tanks and airplanes, things like that. And the men, of course, were leaving to go to the service and leaving openings for the jobs. The women moved in, and they could do everything that a man could do.
It reminds me of those posters that you see.
Yes, that's exactly. Rosie the Riveter.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it was great to see it happen. Of course, I was so busy that I didn't really see all of it, you know.
Right.
But I went through, going to Brooklyn, New York, we rode through Chicago there, and we saw the steel mills going, you know, and the bright light was just something else, just east of Chicago, I believe it is. And of course, we had steel at that time. Today, Japan's got it all.
Now, you guys use dogs?
Yes, we trained dogs there at Elkins Park, and it was to be used as sentries on different installations, you know. But the first dogs we got were just donated from the public. I mean, there again, we weren't ready. And we just put, excuse me, they put out the call for dogs to be used for that, and people responded. So we had to take those dogs, which we called green dogs, and kind of separate them and see who was aggressive and who wasn't. And then we took them to a training. We trained day and night, and they were taught mostly by command, and we'd give them a command, and they did something right, they'd get a pat on the head. And that's true today. You can still get most anything out of a dog just by petting it.
And these dogs were kind of a sense of protection. They could sense when things...
Oh, yeah. I walked the beach up in Rhode Island.
That was one of your first jobs, right?
That was my first job, yeah. We were on that little island there where they stored the warheads and bunkers, and we had to walk around, check the locks, and then walk the beach also. That's the coldest place I've ever been. It was cold. The salt water coming in on the beach, the foam would actually freeze, and that is cold. It's actually brine, I think. But anyhow, we'd fold newspaper down over our ears and then pull our caps on to keep warm.
Right.
And of course, it was quite interesting because we didn't have any walkie-talkies back then either. To get word, if you needed help, you had to call out loud, Sergeant of the Guard or Officer of the Day, and to the next post, and he would pass it right on up, and pretty soon you'd get your help.
That was the communication.
That was the communication, yeah. We had a destroyer escort one night that lost power and drifted aground. And, of course, they put their boat over the side. Were coming ashore, and they were intercepted by the sentries there with a dog, and they just kept them in the boat till somebody came. But the word had to be passed from one post to another till it got to the officer of the day.
Now, from Rhode Island, you went to Oklahoma?
Yes, I went to Norman, Oklahoma. There was a Naval Air Station there with 10,000 sailors down there. And we had a Coast Guard detachment of 17 men there with dogs. And there we walked around just around the airfield. Our job there was to watch for parachuters and things like that. And we had our armament was a Berry pistol, which fired flares in the air. And we saw a lot of jackrabbits out there, boy. They were big ones too.
And you guys caught a train to Texas, Houston?
Yeah, from Norman we went to Melbourne, Florida. And we went into Houston, Texas to change trains. We changed trains there. The dogs were in cages, and they put them on the dock, and they put 300-pound blocks of ice in between each cage there, so the dogs could keep cool. But we were traveling in dress wool blues, and it was hot. You know how hot Texas can get.
Well, being a Texan myself, I definitely know that. Well, were there any moments during your time that you might have felt insecure or felt threatened, or maybe any moments for you that really stuck with you?
No, I went from Norman to Melbourne, Florida, a Naval Air Station there, and we stood watch there on the beach and also at different installations there. We had a radar station at Banana River Radar Station. That's the same spot that they're shooting the rockets from today. And at that time, it was just a little wooden shack and the radar equipment and a jungle. It was all jungle up and down there. And a lot of snakes. Mm-hmm. But from there, we went down to we're at Melbourne. From there, I went to Miami because the war ended with Germany, and they took the dogs and put them at other bases. They sent us to Miami for sea duty training, and we were heading for the South Pacific because the war was still going on there. But during this training, the atomic bomb was dropped and the war ended, and I was sent back to St. Louis Separation Center, and then I was there for about 6 months driving a bus back from the train station to the Separation Center.
What were the last few months like for you when the war in Germany ended?
Oh, it was a happy day.
But then,
I was out on the street. Went into the drugstore. I don't smoke, but I went in to get a cigar at that time. And when I come back out, there was just people shoulder to shoulder everywhere. And I hadn't heard what it was yet, you know. So I went back to my hotel to get my buddy, and they canceled all leaves right there and kept us in there. We didn't have any more time. So from there we went to St. Louis, like I say, and I came to Kansas City for a little while to work at the recruiting station too, and then I was discharged. But with that duty there, I could live at home, and they paid me subsistence to live at home, $6.50 a day. But nothing was high priced at that time. I started out making $21 a month. That went to $50, and then when I left, I was getting $81 a month. That's after 3.5 years. Our rating was all frozen while we were in the Coast Guard all during the war, and I got my rate when I took a correspondence course, and I came out as a carpenter's mate third. And,
looking back on your experience, what are some things that you would like my generation, the generation after me, what would you like people to know?
it was a great fight, and a lot of people were lost, and I'd like them to keep that in mind. Because freedom isn't free. I know you're enjoying it, but it has to be paid for. And the guys in that war actually paid for it. Some of you enjoy it and understand, some of you don't. But I think you should give it some thought, because this country needs some help right now. It needs a lot of leadership. Don't be apathetic. Get in and learn about what's going on and take a stand. It's a great country, and it's well worth fighting for.